Hey one hey all, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at this. It is one of the 5 parts of the Generations Selects package that came out. This guy's release was very dubious, and I originally sourced one because I didn't need the other 4 molds, and that fell through. Huge thanks to our buddy George for sending this one my way. I finally get to compare him to the classics and see how good he really is. Generations Selects Hound will be our focus in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. Helps me out a ton. Let you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And like I said, this is the Generations Selects Hound. It is the Earth mode version of Hound. Right, we had the Siege version, which was a Cybertronian mode. Then we had the Earthrise line, and in 2022, this guy was supposed to be released as part of the Buzzworthy Bumblebee Studio Series 86 line. That didn't quite happen. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But finally, he did get his release, but it was in a 5-pack. I didn't need the other 4, but I did need this guy. How good is he? Was he worth the effort? Was he worth the wait? How about we head over to the table and take a closer look at this lad. And here we have the Transformers Buzzworthy Bumblebee Studio Series 86 version of Earth Mode Hound. Basically an Earthrise Hound. Oh, wait, no, that was supposed to come out in 2022. Instead, that didn't happen because the Buzzworthy Bumblebee line did not have the strongest sales, and Target declined to have this release in that line. Instead, what they did, in their infinite wisdom at Hasbro, is package this guy along with 4 other repacks. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the Sunstreaker Earthrise mold is fantastic. Even Evan Brooks recently said that if there's one Transformer that does not need to be redone, it's probably Sunstreaker. If you don't have a version of Earthrise Trailbreaker, there's one in there. Again, excellent mold. Really fun mold. Wheeljack's my guy. In fact, the one in that set is probably the most animation accurate and ideal version of Wheeljack. And you know what? I don't even remember who the 4th one was that was in there right now. Maybe it was a side swipe. I don't know. Either way, it was 4 I guess remolds of characters I already had, but I really wanted Hound because as much as I love the classics, I thought that the new Earth mode version of Hound probably captured the character a little bit better. I did get Detritus, and I would normally show him here, but right now my collection, where Detritus usually is in a bit of disarray, and I don't really know where he is offhand. But I knew that I liked Detritus, so it made me think I'll probably like Hound. I can't thank George enough for sending this my way. I really appreciate it because I had sourced one, and that guy ghosted me. I mean, if you're going to promise something to someone, just either don't promise it or follow through and be as good as your word. So I can't thank George enough. Really happy to have the Generation Selects version of Hound. Woo! That was a lot of backstory. Both of these are very good. If you are of the mindset that you will keep the classics, I totally understand why you would. There's a big argument for that. In terms of the actual Jeeps, the classics is certainly more stylized, but honestly, I think it makes a more convincing overall Jeep mode because the folded-in feet here don't look like doors, and while there are kind of seats in there, it's not like 2 actual bucket seats. And this one also has like a steering wheel and stuff. This one, if you squint, you might be able to look at some of the molded in detail and pick out something that you could call a steering wheel. However, that being said, I do think that this shade of green is probably more accurate. Here they both are from the front-on view, the other side. By the way, while I like this, and it's cool that it kind of goes in behind the seat, he never came with another actual blaster, so I kind of gave him this one, but like it doesn't peg in anywhere here, which is a bit of a bummer. And then on the back, I do think the back of this one is way cleaner, not gonna lie. So yeah, both are good, but certainly different. Now we've seen the transformation a whole bunch of times in both directions, so I'm not going to show that again. I guess the only thing worth kind of noting here now that I haven't already is that the windshield here is translucent, the windshield here is opaque and colored blue, which I think is fine as well. Because we don't have to do the transformation, we can go from Hound looking like this to, yes indeed, to now having Hound in his robot mode along with Iron Fist, or Physitron if you prefer, and the classics in his alt mode. Why do I have these three here? I recently reviewed this 2-pack along with Wolfwire, and I said, hey, or Weirdwolf, if you, not Weirdwolf, Carnivac. And I said, hey, this is a great mold, but the legs are definitely showing mold degradation, with this one in particular liking to pop off a little bit at the kind of fold down here. This is a fine use of the mold as well, more the Siege one than the Earthrise Earth mode one. But there is some mold degradation here. I note that because I don't find the Hound has any mold degradation whatsoever. In robot mode, these are both pretty good. In fact, I looked at the Classics Hound way back in GotBot True Review number 7. A long time ago. And this, for years and years and years, has been an excellent version of Hound. I was always okay with the stylized look because I said, you know what? In the grand scheme of things, it really does a nice job of capturing Hound, and I love the head sculpt. Then we get to the new one. Let's kind of, and the new one undoubtedly is a little more animation accurate. So we're going to take the classics out of it here now. Okay. First things first, the transformation, because there's no mold degradation, at least on my copy, I think the transformation is as smooth as it has always been. I'm giving it, honestly, I'm going to give it a 10. I think it's an excellent transformation. There's a lot of interesting moving parts, but it's easy to do back and forth, and like I feel rewarded in both modes. So like, I don't mind doing it. So I'm going to say a 10. Maybe I have scored it harshly in the past if I had mold issues, but I don't have any here. In terms of looks for the guy, let's remember that when I started this review, I was talking about the 2022 Buzzworthy Bumblebee 86 release that never happened. And there was an image that went with that, and it was colored slightly different than this. For example, both his blaster and the missile on his shoulder were... Actually, I think this is his hologram blaster, and the missile on his shoulder were both colored silver instead of the off-white, I suppose, that they are now. The grill here and the headlights were not kind of painted this like pale green color, but silver as well. And his legs, I don't know if they were pale green or not. Also, on his arm, while we did have a yellow line around the wrist, we did not have a yellow line up further on the arm. And down on the toes, instead of having the accurate gray, we had nothing. So there have been a few changes. Is it to the guy's benefit? Well, if we start from the bottom and work our way up, we can do comparisons to the program. And the gray on the toes is correct. The green going right up to the knee is correct. The tires on the side of the leg, they should be down on the foot, but I'm okay with them on the leg. The light green on the legs and the lower tummy is correct. The gray on the pelvis is correct. There are 2 yellow lines on the pelvis. Sometimes he was drawn with 2 yellow lines, sometimes he was drawn with 3. And sometimes just above the yellow lines there was a little green accent, and sometimes it wasn't there. So I'm going to give it to him, because it depends on what frame you're looking at. The Autobot logo and the star, that's correct. The pale green for the headlights and the grill chunk, I guess, that's correct. The pale green on the face is correct. The gray on the hands and the shoulders and biceps, all correct. The green on the arms, correct. Up here we kind of have what looks like 1 line, but it really should be 2, but I'm okay with it being 1 because the 2 are like next to each other. Around the wrist, the yellow line there is correct. While molded in up on the bicep, there is no yellow line up on the bicep. And his blaster and his missile arguably should be silver or gray, but honestly the off-white is, again, depends on the animation cell that you're looking at. So I'm going to give it to him. About the only thing that I can point out here as truly, I guess, inaccurate, and even that depends on the frame, is the lack of a yellow line up on the bicep. Again, sometimes it was there, sometimes it wasn't. As such, I'm going to say that for capturing the look of the character, this guy's a 9.5. It's really quite good. So we have a 10 and a 9.5. For a version of G1 Hound, right now this guy is getting a 9.75. Let's do the articulation. Oh, by the way, a lot of people have said that this is really loose on theirs. It's fine on mine. So, again, no mold degradation for me, but I have heard reports of this being loose. He still has ports on the side of his leg, on the shoulder and forearm, down right here on the lower leg. Here he is from the back, again, pretty clean for the most part, right? So, the articulation, we have a head that goes left and right. By the way, he should have an Autobot logo here. I might put one on there. Left and right, little up and down. The shoulders, they can go all the way around, out to the side, bicep swivel, wrist rotation, elbow to 90 degrees. So all of that is good. We have a free-flowing waist on the guy, splits all the way out to the side, and kick forward, kick back, thigh swivel, 90 degrees, if not a little better than 90 degrees at the knee. I'd say, yeah, it's a bit better than 90 degrees actually. Ankle tilt, put that arm back down, and I guess a little toe wiggle up. I couldn't want more. I remember when I did the Siege Hound review, I said that the articulation was excellent. It just wasn't the version of Hound for me, because I wasn't in on the Cybertronian alt mode. Some people like that. Some people like those darker, more toy-accurate colors. This was the version that I think I always wanted. I was happy with the classics, but this is the version I always wanted. In terms of articulation, I gotta give the guy again. He was getting a 9.75. I'm going to say the articulation is a 9.75. On my copy, again, zero mold degradation. Everything feels buttery smooth. Overall score for this version of Hound, at least my copy, is a 9.75. And here we are once again, and here he is. So like he's pretty much an ideal version of Hound. You might be able to add the yellow stripe around the arm if you want. You might even say, hey, I'd like to make the missile and his blaster straight up silver, though I do like the kind of white that's here. A lot of people have said that this is very loose. Mine's pretty good. It doesn't fall out or anything like that. I love the classics, and I still think that the classics is excellent. If you want to stick with it, if that's your Hound, I understand. In fact, I think I like that Jeep mode more. But for the truest representation of the character in a mainline collection, I gotta believe that this version takes the cake. I liked it as Tortoise, but I like it even more as Hound proper. Let me know what you think about the Generations Selects. See, I was gonna say Buzzworthy Bumblebee Studio Series 86. That's the one that got canceled. Let me know what you think about the Generations Selects version of Hound. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you are at it, hit the subscribe button, stick around and have some fun with us here on the channel. And don't forget, not for a moment, not for a second, that you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.